Oh my God, Mitch, I'm sorry. I was just so surprised to see you standing there.
Not as surprised as I was. You're gonna love it, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful, but I miss the beach. You should come back to Baywatch.
All right. Well, I guess we're back again for another week of Baywatching. I guess the listeners don't know, but in a different location slightly. Different room here at your pad.
Yeah.
So hopefully acoustics are all right.
Yeah.
They sound good.
No.
Smell is a lot better.
Yeah,
I like that. Thank you, Drew, for that.
Yeah.
A little better, although I see you're still not showering. That seems to be pretty clear here. Still going with the bit strong here about the no showering.
I'm moving. I
you
have
drinking?
a lot more space now.
Are you still is it still just alcoholic beverages now?
Just the rubbing alcohol, and I got a lot more space now because Vanessa just hasn't been around. So that's probably why it smells better. We're in a new room.
Yeah.
And the room is better.
we've got the windows open. We got the door open.
Yeah.
We've got the fan going.
Because when I have people
Sorry
over,
if it's a little noisy.
Yeah, anyone around. But when I have guests over, they don't like the smell.
What guests are you having over at this point?
Like the delivery food guy.
They're coming over?
Well, they won't come over because they have a smelly door policy at the delivery food guy place, If it smells too much in or around the property and you can smell it in proximity, you don't have to deliver
the food. They can refuse delivery based on the smell of your door?
Yeah. I looked into it too because I was getting a job, because I haven't had one for a while and I'm getting hungry and thirsty for that rubbing alcohol.
What happened to your substitute teaching gig?
It's just
you just stopped going to that?
They don't, it doesn't jive with like my conspiracy
new lifestyle?
vibes on. Yeah. They say it like in air quotes as if like I'm the crazy one. But yeah, so I got a job at Uber Eats, and I'm reading their policy to make sure it's cool. And lo and behold, I'm fired because you can't only not have stinky doors with Uber Eats, you also can't have stinky drivers, So, I don't know. I think I got fired, but I haven't been back into the office to even check.
Wait, into the office? They have an office here in LA? How'd you even get this job?
It's just down the street. You go down, like there's a McDonald's down the street and they have like a bunch of food sitting aside and it says like Uber Eats or food guy or delivery mate. And I go up and I just, because one time I went in and I said my name, Andrew. I said, oh, so I took it. And a lot of times when I go in there is food with my name on it, but most times not.
So that's how you got your job at Uber Eats.
And so sometimes I deliver a little, and sometimes I like sneak a little out I don't have any food or money. I'm still waiting to get paid. I don't know, Bill. You have to help me. There's probably a suit or something I could file civil because I haven't gotten any money.
Yeah, sounds like there definitely could be a suit of some types there.
Yeah. That's why
so
it
I guess
better.
Should we get to the Baywatch episode?
Yeah, but first, as usually the audience or sometimes here's a clip, but this time I want you to see the clip because I thought it was a very powerful episode in many ways. And so just hear this clip, Bill. This is all from the episode. Ooh, yeah. See? Look at that, Bill.
What started?
Ooh, and there's some more. Look at that water, man. It's violent.
Can I give you 2 more pieces?
Yeah, there's the next clip. All that same episode, though. Can you fathom that this is all that same one?
Is there any dialogue?
Powerful than dialogue, Bills? This is the power of the ocean as we beheld in this episode. It was, see how strong it was? Right away, it's the first clip, you know? Ocean shots. And then they kept giving them to us. Like every 3 minutes, we got power of the ocean shot.
Because it was a storm. The episode was about the storm.
I know, but we got that right away. We got that from the beginning, you know? And then they're really, because we remember who's writing this show.
It's a bad show. It's badly written.
I think that's like sort of the guys, you know? That's part of the trick to show the true believers.
You think this is just part of the ocean because the ocean's writing the show, so it's trying to show off its force?
Yeah, it can't be bad.
That's what this is? That's why you're showing me all these clips of the ocean?
That's why I got the clips of the ocean.
Oh, my God.
That's what I'm connecting.
So you didn't prepare any like dialogue clips or anything? You just prepared a bunch of clips of the ocean for this one?
I mean, it's like 5 minutes. It was a long edit. It took a while, you know, to do.
So that's all you did for this show?
I mean,
ocean sounds.
I got a whole theme too. I wrote a few things about the episode, but I have a theme that's connected to the power of the ocean.
This is ridiculous.
The power of the ocean. No, I got a theme, and I can just start right away. Like, forget the day. I didn't do that.
You didn't do the day this day in Baywatch, this day in the week thing. You didn't do that.
No, I was pretty. No. There was a lot going on.
Did you do this day in Ocean Conspiracy?
I got a lot about, and this connects. No, but it connects to the power of the ocean. This episode, the ocean
this bit way too far.
The ocean
Your
manifested.
House is starting to get fucked. When Vanessa comes back, it's not gonna be good. She's gonna be like, "What the fuck, Drew?"
We'll see about if she comes back. But
yeah. I mean, at this point, I don't know.
Okay, do you want to bring it to the episode? The episode in this episode, right before Black Beach Cop gets shot, some villains just emerge out of the mist. Our villains in this episode, they just emerge out of nowhere.
You think they're creations of the ocean?
I think they were manifested by the ocean. Yeah, I mean, and then, but here, all this. Look at my. Got a whole thing. We're not doing the day of. You know, I don't know.
I could do the day of here.
Well, you know, it's okay. Luckily, I got some stuff. Well, I mean, if he's gonna look at, I guess he's gonna look some stuff. I got here. Listen to this.
What do you have?
It's 1943. In 1943, the Nazis release a documentary that is actually propaganda for the Third Reich, whose actual controllers are big water. And this documentary is about the sinking of a passenger ship in the Atlantic Ocean. And this was all to instill fear about water. In 1958, actor Kenneth Moore, he documents his experience in a ship that sinks in the Atlantic. 1964, stylized as a musical, this documentary about an outspoken woman who survives the eve of a sinking ship on another luxury liner in the Atlantic. There's a lot of that happening in history. 1972, Bill, a luxury ocean liner is turned upside down by a rogue wave. 1974, a small town of Amity tormented by ocean's minions, the sharks. That was a really compelling documentary.
Wait.
1980, this is getting to the day of Baywatch, actually.
Okay.
But you want me to bring it back to the show again?
Are you sure this isn't all just the same thing?
No, there was a shark one. In 1980, there was a documentary about a group of folks who were trying to raise a sunken luxury liner in the Atlantic, and the ocean didn't relinquish its what it held. It wouldn't give the ship back in that documentary, I found out. Here's a slightly different one.
So they just gave up?
Yeah, there was a documentary, Das Boot, in 1981 about how boring it is to live surrounded by water in a submarine.
That's what that's about? Because I think I've seen that one.
Yeah, it was a really good. This is all like documentaries I got off of H2O Chan, because they'll be really compelling. You know, they're not not the usual talking heads kind of thing. This is
what they told you that was about.
That's cause I didn't watch.
H2O Chan told you it was about.
Yeah, cause I didn't watch them, but these would be good to watch. You want to know more about the water, because it's all about how the water is like taking over these humans, like being this conflict to humans, which is a metaphor for what we have to deal with, which is what we're garnering through watching Baywatch.
And that's the reason why only you are thinking straight, because you haven't been taken over by water.
Right. Right. I mean, you smell pretty clean. I'm sure you were pretty in contact with water. I mean, I shouldn't even let you in the house.
With water earlier today.
You probably have some residual residue on you, some water residue, some dry, some hard
next
water.
Time we might have to record outside.
That would probably be better. Like a desert. I need to get away from this this coast.
Yeah, maybe. Speaking of, maybe we should go down there later on and film something.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'd be good for the podcast, I guess.
Yeah.
A little promo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think maybe it would be good to get some to air out a little bit.
But back to the theme of our episode, 1995. very ominously titled documentary simply called Water World. What's
Ooh.
happened in it? Well, all the things that I'm trying to warn people about. Global domination. 1997.
It's still a very popular demonstration too, survival demonstration at Universal Studios.
Oh, that's right. I
They
forgot
do,
that they
yeah,
did
they
that.
do. It's every,
My childhood a little bit. See, that's the
Yeah.
infiltration level.
Well,
you know?
they teach you like, here's how you would survive, kids, if this happens,
Yeah.
because it will happen.
I like your vibe now. I think you got that right energy.
Well, I'm just being sarcastic. but no,
1997.
it's just a beloved stage show.
1997, Kate Winslet and Leo D are lost at sea on some kind of like cosplay cruise. I don't know. Everybody was like dressed old. 2000, George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg are tragically lost at sea during a fishing trip, which the same year, tragically, Tom Hanks is trapped by the ocean on an island. In 2012,
Wait, isn't that just Castaway? Is that
that was
what
the
you're
title of the
talking about?
documentary. Yeah. That was the title
That's
of the
just
documentary.
a movie, Drew.
2012, ocean forces an Indian boy to befriend a tiger in a documentary that had nothing to do with my favorite dessert, like it said it would. It was supposed to be all about pie, like a whole life of eating pie. Anyway, it had supposedly very interesting stuff about the water. 2013, Tom Hanks, again, constantly under the water's evil grip.
I don't know if I need to stop and explain this to you, or if
2013, Tom Hanks is held hostage by pirates at sea, Bill. The ocean. They're probably working for the ocean, these pirates. Miraculously, 3 years later, he was forced to land a plane on the Hudson River, which...
just 3 years later.
Yeah, in 2016, he
How
landed
do
a
you
plane on the
escape
Hudson
from?
River.
How do you escape?
From what?
3 years earlier.
I didn't watch like I said, the movie, but it just shows how evil the water is,
not very good.
2014, Russell Crowe and his family are forced to build a large vessel to protect all of Earth's creatures from a storm that will take the Earth over, and it looks really real, this documentary, but I think this one was actually fake news because it didn't happen. Like, the world didn't end that way yet.
I think I heard.
Yet.
Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. I think I heard about that movie like when I was in Sunday school as a kid.
Oh, you probably read the Bible. We'll talk about that more later. It also connects to my theme, unless you're looking up any day of. I know you're not even paying attention to most of what I'm saying.
I do have stuff that actually happened on
2018,
the
Will
day
Ferrell
of
and John
How
C.
is this
Reilly.
the day of Baywatch?
Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly detonate a bomb on a luxury liner in the Atlantic to save the Queen, because the power of the planet is funded and backed by water. Queens, presidents.
Oh my God.
So sorry, Will Ferry and John C. Reilly, you.
So that's your This Week in Baywatch history?
That's part of it. I mean, I know you got to say you have a day. You love that day of segment, Bill.
Well, here's what actually happened day of.
All right.
England tested some bombs, because that's what they do. I forget the exact ones. I switched out of that article. And then also, Billy Joel, hit song. We didn't start the fire, but England did.
Yeah.
So they kind of did.
You're right. Yeah.
But Billy Joel, American, he did not. And I think he was speaking for all Americans in that song. So I think we're also...
I don't know. If he was a true patriot, I think he would have started the fire. Because what does fire do, especially in large amounts?
Destroys things.
It could dry water.
Fire might be your... Yeah, you're right. Maybe Billy Joel is actually got... That's code. The water's gotten to Billy Joel. So, that's what happened in This Week in Baywatch. Everyone was singing along, trying to... We didn't start the fire.
It was always burning.
Everyone was mumbling along to Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Yep. And then they aired this episode of Baywatch, which was our very first storm episode.
Ooh. Shelter from the storm. Or just called Shelter Me.
And we had Shelter Me. Okay, well, good. All right. Well.
You almost said we had no montages.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought it was actually called Shelter from the Storm, and I was going to say we had no Bob Dylan.
Oh, no.
And then when I found out it wasn't that, I was like, good.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have expected Bob Dylan.
It would have been nice to have a Bob Dylan montage. But we
Just a bunch of Bob, like that last episode where he kept thinking that he saw Gina, but it was
was
some
just Bob
other
Dylan.
girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he kept thinking he saw, but it was just Bob Dylan all these places.
Yeah, like he had to go do another surgery because he's fucked and he did drugs and he thought Bob Dylan like raped him. And then he kept seeing him everywhere. And
But it's just these different people.
yeah. I don't know who the character that is like between them who makes the love triangle and like for the conflict to happen there, but maybe there's a Bob Dylan like tie-in that character we don't know yet. We'll see.
Well, we're waiting for.
There
the
was a
Bob Dylan
montage, though.
Oh yes, we did get a montage. So
I hated it.
do you want to do log lines? I don't have any log lines prepared, or should we just get into?
I didn't do a log line. I hated most of the plot lines because it was like one is like Hobie finding romance, the other one is fucking Foster and
It's more. It's the
Shawnee
will they,
finding
won't
romance.
they? It's just we went more into the yes they will.
I'm just over romance right now, Bill. Like just all this stuff, like Vanessa
Why's that, Drew?
leaving the room.
Well, I
that we
thought she
share.
was just going. I thought she was doing something for school.
I mean, she keeps going to her mom's house. She keeps going to. She's farther and further away. She's getting shorter and shorter with
Well,
me. She doesn't want to
you
hear
think
about
it has
water.
anything to do with that shit? Yeah,
Truth warriors sometimes pay a high price.
I know you're taking this bit a little too far here, Drew. It's like, I don't know. She
Well,
might
can
not
I-
find it funny.
I mean, you want me? Can I go do the? Do you want me to do the rest of my prepared thing, or? I mean, you're saying I haven't prepared anything. I got prepared stuff. I'll tell you, my day ofs are sometimes a little more.
Okay, well, I didn't know. This is supposed to be your podcast, Drew. Remember?
It is my.
I was
podcast.
just gonna be the person who sits here and is the backboard. You were gonna be the one who prepared stuff and did stuff, and now you're just gone into this
Well, I got
crazy
stuff.
rabbit hole bit / conspiracy theory about water.
Always a conspiracy theory, as if like there's no conspiracies. You know, as if conspiracy theory is a negatively connotated verb.
Well, I'm negatively connotating it that way now.
Well, I mean, it's like, what are we gonna do? 'Cause, I mean, I have a little more to say. It's not like
All
you
right,
brought
go ahead.
anything.
Go ahead.
You didn't
go
bring
ahead,
anything.
Go ahead. No, I didn't. Go ahead.
You didn't bring anything, huh?
Well, I guess
Just
next
as
time I
usual.
will. God damn it.
As usual. Okay, so you don't have something. I'll finish mine. I guess a short episode, Baywatchers. This stuff comes from another source I found on H2O Chan.
Jesus Christ.
The Dribble. This is the true word of God.
Wait, the dribble?
The Dribble, yeah, because
This is more like dribblings from lunatics on your message board?
Well, you know, at first I thought that it had to do with maybe it was like the truth about water, you know, and that's why it's a dry bowl because there'd be less of it in there. But then
A dry bowl.
yeah, but then when you contrast it to the real Bible, it's just that
It's a play on Bible.
yeah, it's less
Oh.
flowery, you know. It's a little bit more boring to go through. It's just drab, you know. So it's like the dry bowl.
So who
But coincidentally, it also tells you the truth about water. And I'll read a little bit. What do you got a question about it?
I'm just
You
wondering.
got something to contribute here?
Well, I'm just wondering, Drew, are you paying money to anybody here on this website?
It's a subscription.
Did you buy this dribble from somebody? Tell me you didn't.
I have the Dribble right here. Yeah, the Dribble right here. It's not much bigger than a pamphlet because they've edited out all of like the nonsense and the conspiracy stuff, which I like.
Yeah. And you paid money for that?
I paid money. You've got to have it when like you're at the meetings on Zoom, like we do like the studies, and you have to have it to prove that like you might have read it.
Okay.
You know, they're kind of pretty fundamentalist.
All
I'm struggling
right.
that a little bit, but it's got a lot of good truths.
Yeah.
you know.
in this that water community, huh?
Yeah, it's a whole. Well, it's more like an anti-water, water awareness, raising awareness about the dangers of water to all of us, to mankind, and all life, essentially. So they have their book.
Vanessia's like aware of this stuff. She was aware of this before she left.
I try to get her to sit in on some of the Zoom meetings, and she's never interested. You know,
Okay, so that happened before she left.
a little.
Now it makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You might
go
say there's
on.
been a Vanessa drought, which it would be nice if she was water, but she's not.
I guess she's not playing along with this though.
She's
so-
like 70% water, whatever they say as humans are. I think that's a conspiracy too. But like I've been doing not drinking, I've gotten my levels down to like 43% water, and I'm trying to get down to none. And that's what I'm trying to tell you about this Dribble.
Well, how can you trust these people? How percentage of water are these people who wrote this crap?
They're something around like 12. I mean, the goal is 0.
And how
The
did they?
goal-
Who tested them?
Well, we have a community of scientists within the dry bowl community
Who perform these tests?
who've been performing tests for decades, since even before we were born.
And that's who certifies this.
Yeah, I mean they have
And if you're at a certain level, then you are clear. You're clear enough of water to be able to know and speak the truth and spread the truth. Is that what it is?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So about 12%. That's when you become free of the water's influence.
The freest humans on the planet are at 12% water in their bodies right now. You know.
So that's your goal.
And yeah, that's my goal. And Jesus was 0. That's, I think, how he could ascend so easily.
Now that seems like a pretty damn smart cult mentality, Drew.
Well, you're always gonna call it that until you believe it.
I'm just saying, hey, the way that you have to get to enlightenment is to deplenish yourself so that you can't think straight, and then you'll be more susceptible to just following me, and you're gonna lose your free will. It sounds like, Drew. That's what it sounds like. You're falling into a goddamn cult. I'm getting a little worried about you, Drew.
The Mashta says that all truths will sound like lies.
Now you mentioned some other cult shit.
The
What the
Mashta
fuck?
is a man.
God damn it!
But
Drew.
he gave me the book. Well, I bought the book from him, and just a little, Genesis 1:2, the real Genesis. Now earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. So this to illustrate that water was mad. It didn't like God hovering, behind his back, like you don't like your boss or your spouse behind your back all the time. Water was like, why is God always hovering over me? So we're setting up water don't like God.
Yeah.
Isaiah 12:3. Therefore, with joy you shall draw water. So he's talking about like the conspiracy, the propaganda from the water. We're gonna be forced to draw pictures of water with joy. Is that you'll be forced to draw water with joy,
I think they mean a different type of draw.
It's
I think they're
art.
using that word differently.
It's forced art. It's idolatry. John 35. Jesus answered, if a man's birth is not from water, it's not possible for him to go to the kingdom. What are kingdoms? The corrupt leaders of our world, the status quo, presidents, politicians. And I looked into this a little deeper. Jesus said, if you don't have a water birth, you can't ascend to the kingdom. You can't rule humanity. Look who this list of people who have had water births. Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump.
What do you mean by water
George
birth?
Soros. But like, when you have like a midwife come in like a tub of water and your mom is in the tub and then you're born in the water.
I thought that was like a new age hippier thing. I didn't. How would all these old people have had that done?
These are deep. I try not to use the word deep anymore because a lot of times people associate it with like water, but it's a esoteric shit. It's been hidden. They knew about it. That's why they had water births. Psalms.
So you're saying this was happening long ago amongst the people who were in the know about this water shit, and it's mostly like, your Masons, your Illuminati.
Yeah,
those
but they didn't have the
people.
full truth. But they were part of it. They were part of exposing it often throughout history. You know what I mean? But not the full truth, if you know what I mean. Which moved me on to this. And, if they were going to edit stuff out of the Bible, too, that was not helpful or wasn't so good, they should have Psalms. Like, they should have taken that P out or maybe just made it like palm. Take the Psalm. I don't know, Bill. It's just not a good word. I don't know if the water is responsible for that, but it's just hard to say. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. Why are they quiet, Bill? They're plotting. John 7:3-39. On the last and the greatest day of the festival, Jesus stood and said in a loud voice, let anyone who is thirsty come and drink. You think he's part of the bad people at first, but then he says, you don't need water. Jesus will quench your thirst, he says. Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up eternal life. He's not talking about the inorganic water that I mentioned last episode, which is its inorganic compound. If you go look at Wikipedia.
Okay.
He's not talking about that old-ass water. He's talking about a new type of water, which doesn't have to do with drinking, which doesn't have to do with hydrogen or oxidized. It has to do with love, with Jesus' love. And
that's what you're trying to tap into?
That's all I'm saying, yeah.
That's what you're meeting with people on Zoom. You're buying their books on how to tap into that?
I'm buying their books. We're meeting on Zoom. We have a Telegram chat. I could link these in our links too. There's a Telegram chat.
All right.
H2O Chan at Telegram. We have a Bumble. We have a TikTok.
Well, you at least got around to watching the episode this week, right?
I saw like most of it because I was watching it, but I was also, we have a Reddit for H2O Chan.
Yeah.
So I was like,
You're
we're really
posting
active
on the Reddit.
Yeah. While
Okay.
I was watching,
All right. Well, I kind of liked this week's episode. It was a little campy, but
Scary.
I thought we were gonna actually see Black Cop die.
That was shocking.
I was really hoping.
I looked up for that.
I was like, at first, like, no, he's gonna get up. But then I was like, maybe we're gonna see a Dr. Marvin Monroe. Maybe they're just gonna have some first season character be like, we're gonna have him die. We're gonna show that this is a show that means business.
Right.
We're serious, okay? We're gonna have some beloved characters die. Get used to it. I thought they were making that statement, but then nah. He just gets up and then he's like, I'm cool. I'm now wandering around.
He's cool enough to wander half the episode.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he wanders. I looked up and I saw he was wandering to the tower. And I'm like, he like fell down like, oh, I'm safe now. I'll call the tower. And then like Mitch is like, no, we secretly have these people here, but I'm just trying to secretly tell you.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, fuck. Like now I got to get back up and wander all the way down to the headquarters with a bullet wound.
But like, why didn't he call the? It seemed like he should have called the police rather than like try to solve to like go and save the thing himself. You know?
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was kind of liking the campiness. It was kind of.
You know
fun
why
a
I
little
don't think?
bit.
Here's my like, and I know we're not. I think it's because the water, yeah, through the storms and stuff. You know what I mean? All the lines were out, and this is what it does. Because the ocean, we always blame it on the ocean, the sea, but it's also the water that's in the air around you. You know, if you live in a humid climate.
That's like the water that's in the ocean, then throwing down like, boom, bitch,
Right?
boom, I'm gonna slap you around with my. And I
if
mean,
you
what
think
is
about
ice?
it like
What
a
is
joke
hail?
all the time, maybe it will be helpful because then you could start to believe. You always get your mood improves.
Drew, see, now I can't even joke because then you take it seriously.
But the water took out the phone lines, and I think the only thing he could do was take the phone off the hook at the tower because maybe those
that
lines.
is their way to signal people,
Right? Because remember how like when they're
Yeah.
off, like you see a thing.
Yeah.
So maybe like they're separate. They're not affected by the same power lines or something or the same phone lines.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It seems like it.
Because I had that thought, but then I was like, oh, maybe that's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went back to Reddit.
And then you went back to the Reddit, huh? Well, I thought that, it was what you expect from your Baywatch episode. Yeah, you got two bad villains that were cartoonishly bad. I liked the implication that the lawyer guard Greg's wife was going to get raped.
There it is, folks. You heard it. Bill liked the implication that someone's wife was going to get raped.
That was an interesting. That was. I liked that they were bold there with that.
Yeah.
They at least were like, well, we're gonna. I just like the way that they said that. They're like, it wasn't gonna be a walk down to the locker room.
Yeah,
Or something like that.
I wasn't going to let you have a short walk down to the locker room with
it wasn't
him.
just gonna be a. It was like, in case you didn't get it before, she was gonna get raped.
Yeah.
That's what we were implying.
Yeah.
100%. In case you were dumb and didn't get it.
Yeah.
They were very. I like the way that they were very blunt about it. I guess
Right.
is more what I meant.
Right.
But
And then they didn't allow anyone else of the other characters to get raped either. Like Hobie totally could have raped someone.
dude, what was up
Foster
with
could
that
have raped
little-
someone.
with like the little girl's parents, like just like, oh, no adults are over there, and there's no roof, and there's this massive storm.
Once
Yeah,
again,
stay over there.
it's the power of the water because the storm was so bad that like people just had to deal with these things they normally wouldn't. You know. And Hobie like is kind of weird because I was looking at that girl and I was like, how come she looks exactly like Hobie's other girlfriend that he got tired of?
I thought she looked very different.
Oh, okay. Well, I
They
was
look
also
very
not paying
different.
attention. Remember? So,
Oh yeah, I thought they looked very different.
all right.
Nah, this is a very different looking girl.
I also noticed that when you're a kid. I've been watching like Are You Afraid of the Dark too?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's like some water. There's a couple water episodes that got me into it, but then I just watched the rest for nostalgia. Kids are only ever allowed to like peck
Oh yeah.
on TV, you know, and then
Yeah.
like Shawnee and Foster can have like way more of an intimate kiss, you know.
Yep.
And then I found that like 90-year-olds can straight, they can just
Wait, 9-year-olds?
90
90-year-olds.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
They can just French kiss and
That's fine.
slobber
That's
and like
fine.
face fuck each other.
Well, yeah. That's
There's
fine.
an age to kiss ratio.
That makes sense.
And because like the peck is the gateway, so it's like we only control the kids like kind of the very beginning, you know. And then like when they're like rating the show, like what should we rate this? Like PG-13 or was this for kids? It's like, well, you did show a peck, you know, and that is a gateway to like sloppy making out. So we're gonna have to rate this PG-13. Throw some boobs in.
When did they have the boobs?
There were no boobs in this episode.
No, and that would not. That would
I
make
just
it
really
hard.
lost my tangent, and I just was. If you end with boobs, someone's gonna like it.
Now, see, you can acknowledge you lost it there with that bit. Now do that with this water shit.
If it was a bit, I might.
All right. You know, the other thing, Hobie, with Hobie's story, was, when his dad called up, because his dad's just like, yeah, my son's like home alone now, like during this storm. And for some reason, he doesn't ever worry about getting home to his son. It's like he calls him up, and the thing his dad, or he says to his dad is, well, that depends on what homeowner's liability means. And it was like, what?
He just overheard that, right? And then like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. And let me tell you what that would mean in this context. Because it's actually a very interesting thing going on in the courts at that moment. Having to do with what went on there, which is there was a worker fixing the roof who fell and injured himself, and that's what he was saying. You know, it's like, well, what does homeowner's liability mean? Because that's because the homeowner is liable for that injury, or so one might claim, and that's what Hobie was getting at with that question. And it just so happens this was like in 1989, 1990. Well, it just so happened that around this time there was a case involving this where a subcontractor, employee of a subcontractor on a home like construction or improvement job, I think. I don't actually know if it was a home improvement job. I didn't do that research and look into this case into that level.
I can show you how to research.
I don't know if they would have this on H2 Chan.
There's a lot of like threads, but there's one really popular one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they would have a little bit on this, but just not as much.
It's the H2O research channel. And then we
See.
have like there are people called milkers who are like, these are the people who go out and like investigate and find all of like these facts. They research it, right? They're like milking the water's plan. They're the milkers. And then so you deliver milk when like you're going to like Facebook or something and like sharing. You're kind of like a milkman, you know?
I see.
You're sharing. I give it to my mom. I guess for some reason I find that like it's just easy. I've been talking to your mom. I've been talking to like all of
Really?
people's moms like through Facebook and stuff, or I FaceTime
It's just a
them.
little easier to reach them.
Yeah, and like we just like with
Yeah.
memes or something. I don't even have to like tell them
I
about a
see.
book sometimes.
I see.
Not all moms.
Well, anyways.
Actually, your mom wasn't really that.
She wasn't that receptive?
No.
Yeah, I can imagine.
She kept saying I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
She just probably was trying to tell you it's not healthy
Yeah.
to not drink that water and be dehydrated.
Anywho, but the libel.
Yeah.
The
But anyways, so is the homeowner liable in that situation?
Yeah.
Is the question.
Yeah.
And the short answer is no. They would not be. There's this thing called the Privet Doctrine, which actually says that if you're a subcontractor, then then you're liable for your own employees. So, or if you're a contractor and you have employees, you're liable for their safety. So not the homeowner.
Right.
So there was even a case where they alleged that like the ledge wasn't safe, that the person had to walk along to access the thing, and that the homeowner therefore was liable. But because it wasn't a hidden hazard. See, now if it was a hidden hazard, that cause the injury of the worker, then the homeowner could be liable for not have warning them of this hidden hazard. But if it's a hazard that the person can see and make the assessment of, then the idea is that the logic is that they, as a skilled worker, as a contractor, should have the ability to assess whether or not they can safely do the job in that area or get to the job, and that they therefore assume that risk.
Right.
And then the homeowner's not liable.
So, yeah, it's like it has
Mitch
to be
would not be liable.
It has to be a hidden hazard that that the homeowner like was aware of, and that wasn't like created by like the work of the laborers, right?
Yeah.
Because the biggest, just as my like little experience in like working like landscaping, like the biggest hazard is like shit that me or people I'm working with do or leave around.
Well, that's why we actually
like we always have to leave for like the homeowners. Like we have to tell them like there's these many holes, and hey, go set up like big shit to protect them so nobody gets hurt. Like,
right.
You know.
Yeah. Open ditch.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's actually why I know about this, is because we have a case where our guy was a subcontractor.
Uh-huh.
He was paid just to do like the concrete pumping on a job, and the contractor, their defense is that he, as a subcontractor, and he as his own employee of his own as a subcontractor, that he is like liable for himself, that like they have no liability because his injury was caused by like things all within his control. But the thing is that they say his injury was caused by this pump that he was using, his own pump, like malfunctioning, and this clamp breaking off and hitting his eyeball and busting his eye, and that's what caused the injury, is their story, even though nobody saw it. And then our client's story is that no, something fell from above. I was already done cleaning up my pump and my hose, and something fell from above. Now, the thing that makes me believe him is that the only evidence we have is a photo of a bloody clamp that is closed and totally like not broken and closed.
Right.
And there's a bunch of other clamps, and they're clamps for the scaffolding, not clamps for the hose.
Right.
So it seems like, and there were a bunch of them up above.
Right.
And so our argument is that no, those were scaffolding clamps. They were hanging up above that scaffolding.
Right.
and that there was some explosion, because somebody says they heard an explosion that shook that loose, causing the clamp to fall, and that hazardous condition was created by the contractor.
Right.
And that because of that, like that's an exception to the Prevet doctrine.
Right.
That we should get around that, because the hazardous condition that caused the injury was one that they created.
Right. Now, if you really, you really study the pervert doctrine, and you really
Prevet.
if you study it, the Prevet.
Yes.
If you study it and you make sure, okay, I gotta do it. Here's my question: can you be all good? Like go to someone's house and like say they have like a big ass tree, like someone you don't like in our community, FDR, we hate FDR, and a lot of people want him. I don't know if we should say this on the podcast, because I don't know if you're allowed to advocate violence. This isn't Twitter. A lot of us want to kill FDR in the water community, so like we're trying to plan a bunch of different ways. And I'm wondering if we could get to his house, like Prevet rules, like there's a big tree, say, in his backyard. And
why do you guys have a beef against FDR?
We're just
the Clean Water Act.
This one I don't even understand this one completely. It just, a lot of times in our community there are like people in history who sort of did. It seems like we were taught in school that they did like a little bit of good, and I'm finding out a lot of times in our community that people like Martin Luther King or FDR, like ideas like socialism and stuff, are just inherently bad, because they're saying that they're trying to help people, and they never are. And
Okay.
and FDR is like one of these figures. I think he's like one of the biggest figures, in terms of like pretending to help, So we want him dead. But I'm saying if there's a tree in his backyard, and like I know there's a work crew there, and the big old tree I set up, like I kind of half saw it, like all secretly, so nobody can ever tell. And I put like a little bomb in there that's silent, a silent bomb, and I can trigger it to blow up whenever I want. And then FDR, forget it, it's not FDR's house. FDR in this scenario is a day laborer, and he's working at someone else's house where this tree exists that I've rigged, as I've just described.
Okay.
FDR is shoveling next to this tree, and right when he's right there, I make the tree fall down, right? And it kills him.
Okay.
And I also just want to make sure that for some reason that the homeowners are liable, to blame it on them, and so that it's not me. You know, it's like everyone. I'm just clear. We're all clear. We blame it on. We find a homeowner that we don't like too. And we set this whole thing up. You know.
Okay.
And is it then the homeowner's fault if a tree fell on a guy and killed someone while they were working? Even if I secretly blew up that tree and was the murderer of FDR?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, that's why we have you on the show, Bill.
Not at all.
Because we need a lawyer too. So it's like a lot of times, I'll be like, "Hey."
Well, it comes into play a lot. You
Yeah.
need a cop, you need a lawyer really to evaluate Baywatch because they do a lot of cop work,
Yeah.
they do a lot of legal work, they do a lot of detective work.
And I'm talking about the Waters work too, like in our community. It's like kind of slowly trying to get warm up to it. We need a lawyer. We need, and
Well,
apparently like the people on top really need lawyers.
really all they really need is a lifeguard.
Okay, right.
Because
You're right.
I mean
And that's what they are to me.
And that's how you knew those two villains were going to meet their end. Because what did they say? They said, it's just a couple of lifeguards. Pff, right when they said that, you knew they were done. Because that's what one of the primary show's functions is. It is to bring about capitalism, to bring about global warming. But it's also to show that lifeguards can and should be doing everything.
Right. So hopefully...
And, we learned that again today. They could stop a storm and a murder.
Right.
But the storm kind of ended at the end of the show.
The storm did end. It was like bright and clear.
Yeah, it was like they caught the bad guys, stopped the storm, all in a day's work at the pier.
Right. And as the storm
Baywatch.
ends, with just a couple of lifeguards, so just a couple of Baywatchers turn another page.
On the Baywatching podcast.
On the Dribble.
All right, Drew. We might have to do this next one outside.
Don't listen to Bill. Just give us some money. Mail it into our P.O. box that we have mentioned. Mail us your email addresses. Buy our dry, storable food. Buy our dry Vitality dick pills. At Baywatching Podcast. On Instagram at BaywatchingP. On Twitter. Stay away from the water, Baywatching Truthers.
I was driving. I ran out of gas somewhere around Palm Springs. That's when I started walking. And walking. I think I might have even started crawling for a while. But all I could see was your face in the oncoming headlights. Hear your voice in the truck horns.